Yes, we're back at it again. Welcome, guys. What's happening? Welcome to another episode for the Bangalore Real Estate Podcast. I hope you guys are doing well again. It's been a while since we, spoke regarding real estate, and here I have another podcast, another episode. As usual, I'm going to be getting Sham over. We're going to talk about real estate. If you are new to real estate, if you have no idea, or if you're someone in the field, you want to know more about real estate, so we're going to talk entirely about real estate, and this is going to be about buying plots of land around Bangalore, land survey. We have a couple of subjects that me and Sham wanted to talk about, so it's going to be about that. And if you're probably someone who's going to look for land around Bangalore, we've done the research. We try to do the research as far as we're concerned. We're going to let other people decide, and let's see where the conversation goes. Welcome to another episode. We're going to talk about real estate, as I've already mentioned, so I'm going to get Sham over. And yes.
1 second.
Hey,
We're live.
what's up? What's up?
What's happening, bro? Sham?
All good, bro. How are you doing?
Good scenes, bro. So,
Okay.
thank you for making it again. It's been a while
Hey,
since
thank
we
you
did
for
the real
having me
estate
over.
scene. Yeah,
Thank
since we
you.
did the real estate episodes.
Yeah, I think the
Firstly,
previous one
what?
didn't get saved, right? Like,
Yeah, bro. Unfortunately,
yeah,
now
this
I've gotten
time.
better at saving and keeping
Yeah,
tab at the right things. Yes, what's happening?
crazy,
Abhi
crazy.
Jihadi. So, bro,
MNG
what's
in the
happening?
house.
What's happening?
Nothing much, bro.
What's work like and how's it going? Give us like a gist of what you've been up to.
Well, like I said last time, I'm into project management and
Right.
construction. Um, so mostly like I deal with like material procurement and like labor handling and mostly execution on sites. Uh, Wait, there's small echo happening. Yeah. Um, so as for our discussion last time, I think we were talking about plots around the city, right? And like
Yeah.
the market analysis and like the growth
You can
and
go
like the
anywhere, bro.
saturation points in the city.
Yes.
So I was thinking this time we can have talk more of about like the procedure of like buying a plot once you have decided like where to go for it, right?
This is aimed
So
at people who have no clue, like me before, and now too I
yeah,
have like a vague idea of what happens. But yes, there are a lot of youngsters interested in real estate, and a lot of millennials, and a lot of people trying to buy their own plot of land. So
yeah,
probably it'd be helpful for someone who's trying to understand a bit more about what are the inner workings and how do
yeah.
you
What are
do a
the
due diligence and
the
stuff like that,
official
right?
procedure and stuff like that, right? So yeah, I mean basically like when you're buying a land, like there are like five important roles, right? Like I mean, uh, like you gotta like see first of all before buying the plot, like you go and do certain like pre-verifications, and then there is like document verification, field verification, and then comes the agreement, and then the registration. So what like people don't understand is like these like verifications are very important, otherwise like you might end up into
Lot of
end up
suit.
buying some plot which is which has a lot of litigations and stuff which they
Yeah.
don't realize like until they have bought it, and real estate like usually is a
What's
huge
like the
investment.
common thing?
Huh?
What's like the common, kind of litigation that the people wouldn't,
Yeah,
foresee?
usually like the documents shouldn't be right. Like there'll be some documents missing, or there'll be litigations between two owners, or like probably the builder and the owner of the land. It varies like from project to project or like land to land. So depends.
Right. So
But
you're saying,
to avoid certain things, like the first thing what like I mean, what would be the ideal go to avoid certain mistakes like this is like, first of all, you check the location where you're buying the property, and you see the growth of it, like certain research before you buy the plot. And like, how do you analyze whether that's a good plot or not? Like, like there are certain points, like, wider roads are always better. You check for water points, whether they're like
Why
water
doesn't
points.
above
And
40?
yeah, above 40. Yeah, I think above, like, nothing below 30 at least.
Nothing below 30.
If it depends on where you're investing, but and the budget, of course. Then like you got to check for groundwater. Like there's a lot of like groundwater issues happening these days in Bangalore. Like you buy a plot and then you end up realizing like there's no water in the site, right?
How does one go about that?
As in,
Groundwater. How do you do the prerequisite for the making sure, like, do you ask around, or like
yeah, you ask around, and like you check the BWSSB department. Probably check with the previous owners and like a couple of like your neighbors and all that.
So usually, like, again, go around, speak to the people in the project. They'll be in the project or nearby areas, right? Go, like, have a word with what issues they're having, and like what common faces. Is the road all right? Is the road being done all right?
Yeah, electricity
Water
supply,
electricity.
drainage facilities. Yeah, and like that's one part of it. Then there's again like proximities to check with, like like how far is like the bus stand, the railway station. Like your value
Hospitals.
of the plot increases depending on the proximities, like around the city, right? Like the metro and airport and all that,
Yeah.
and schools, IT sectors. So that's one thing. And now so once you have decided like what plot to buy, then the next step would be like to verify the documents of the plot, right? So there are certain documents, like I'm just gonna roughly read it out here, like there's sale agreement, sale deed, mother deed, Khata certificate, encumbrance certificate, like tax paid receipt, layout approval plan, like developer authority approval, no objection certificate, and like other of the seller. So all this, like like even if like one of these is missing, or like there's gonna be issues like for you to like sell the property, or like
And I'm sure the lawyer will do the due diligence, but it's it's also like important for you to even
aware of it at least.
Be aware of it, right? Lawyer will do the stuff, but like, why don't you? I mean, that's the whole reason we start the podcast. Just like it's easier now to get more information regarding anything, so might as well start learning now, right?
Yeah, true. So once so of course like the lawyer will help out, but it's always easy to get manipulated by the seller or the brokers, because they always like have this, like put this pressure of like selling. That's what they do, like the developers want to sell their plots, right? Like but you have to make sure that you take your time and like you understand like what you're getting into, because once you buy it and like once you're in that spider web, it's very hard to like, it takes years, like, and most of the litigations never get solved, like it just drags on for years.
And most people are in a hurry to like probably like invest, and like
yes,
there'll be some kind of I heard one story newspaper where this lady basically stayed back. She was not from Bangalore, she was from North India, I guess. And during Corona, she couldn't leave Bangalore basically. So she stayed where her son was, in some apartment basically. Not service, in a gated apartment kind of a setup basically. And the more she stayed there, she realized... community. The more she stayed there, she realized she was in the market to buy a plot of land, probably where she's from in North India. But she realized, since everything was like set up here, she liked the apartment that she stayed in or something like that. And she made that decision to buy that land which she was supposed to buy there. She made that decision to buy the same here in Bangalore. So there will be people making such decisions, right?
Yeah, yeah,
On a whim,
definitely.
be like, why not, just like go ahead and buy. Let's buy in Bangalore.
Yeah.
So Anjali, one needs you to give a shout out.
Hey, hi.
Yeah, go
Don't
ahead.
disturb. Anyways,
No problem. If you have some
oh,
technical questions, you can ask.
definitely.
Our shout outs is also cool.
Yeah, shoutouts is also cool. Yeah, so once like the documents are verified, it's very important for you, like the client to have a field verification on site, right? Like you gotta
Physically
like
check the place.
this physically check the place. This one time, what happened? Similar example, one of the client he went through a broker and he ended up buying an apartment for himself, and like usually like they go at like certain part of the day, right? Like probably in the evening, and once they buy the plot they realize like the house doesn't have enough lighting, like it's pretty dark during the afternoons.
Right.
So it's important to check the property like at different
Yeah.
hours of the day,
Yeah.
like like
Right.
that's one thing. And yeah, like I said, like for a better understanding of the locality and all that, like go to talk to your neighbors. Once that is done, like once you're okay with like the locality and like the documents are verified, and then the next step is like to go for the sale agreement. Now, this is where the tricky part is, like uh, like of course, I mean you've got to have a lawyer. Shout out to Anjali now, since she's a
Yeah.
lawyer, but
Okay.
uh, it's it's more like the agreement, and like once you have the sale deed, you're good to go, like in buying a plot. So that's with respect to buying the plot. And I mean the next thing would be to
Also, RERA is
like
also
the
important,
execution of the construction part of it, like when
so that
you
they follow through.
yeah. uh, so you want to talk about like the construction side of it, or like what,
Yeah,
like the
yeah.
data
And
side of
also,
it,
RERA is
once yeah.
also now makes it easier, also, right? Since you have like a RERA number, you can go cross verify.
True. I think Balaji has a questions.
Balaji has a
Smart
technical
contracts
question.
for real estate
Smart
ownership
contracts for
and
real
transfer.
estate ownership and transfer of ownership. What are your thoughts? That will get into the technical part. Will get into later, like the future of real estate and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think we
Excuse me.
are
But on a shorter notice,
far
yeah,
from
like
it.
if blockchains are going to play a role somewhere, and how tech will be involved in the real estate sector is basically the double spending problem that you're going to solve, right? Each
Yeah,
usually what happens in real estate, they show one place and like the same plot of land, two three people they
yeah,
sell the lot to two three people. So
yeah.
that's the whole reason you have blockchain kind of systems where each lot of land is verified on a blockchain, so the other person buying it will be basically cross verifying, making sure like what he's buying is like the original part of. So that's like a very interesting future for real estate, and where the blockchain come in, smart contracts basically on Ethereum or anything like that, right? Okay, let's get into that later.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have much idea about the blockchain part of it though. Anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, once you have bought the plot and like when you want to construct a new your home on the plot, right? Like the procedures, like firstly, like the most crucial part is to get the marking done for the site, like with the surveyor. uh, because most of the times, so in the agreement, like the dimensions are given, but once you're on site physically verifying it, like like there are a lot of issues that might arise, like
All
probably your
right.
neighbor would have encroached your area, or like probably the site won't be in the particular angle. I mean, like what's given, like if it's in an
What's
angle,
already
then
proposed.
there's like yeah, then there's a lot of wastage when you're constructing a land if it's in an angle. So so it's like once you get it surveyed, you have a proper idea of like how the marking, like what's the boundary of your site. uh, otherwise what happens is like some people sometimes like people get their whole design done and then they go to the site and then they realize it's not according to the uh, actual
Plan
site
proposed.
or yeah plot, yeah, and then they'll have to redo the whole design and all that because of the change in the site itself. So then once you have marked your site, like the next step would be to like get your soil testing done, of course.
And why? Let's get into why people. Somebody might ask, why is the soil testing important?
Um, One is like for the structural detail to be done, like you need to know like what sort of
Soil you're working on.
soil, yeah, you're working with. The structural detail always like varies from like place to
Soil to
place
soil.
and like soil to soil, right? Like sometimes like if there are boulders underneath the soil, like if there are boulders, like if it's below 6 feet or 7 feet, then like it's a different sort of foundation. But if it's like if you get boulders like right under 3 feet, then like your expense for the structure
May
itself
vary.
increases, right? So skipping the soil test will actually it can actually affect your whole estimation that you had like initially prepared for your design. And like eventually it might shoot up and like you may not like you end of the day you wonder like how did the budget shoot up or how did I end up spending so much for the construction. Got
That's
a
a
simple
usual
like
case that you observe.
they go to save like 10 to 15,000 like by avoiding the soil testing and they end up paying like in lakhs. So I think that's a
How do,
silly
again explain like how would it change due to without understanding the nature of the soil, it might start
soil.
facing problems and incurring other things that you wouldn't have.
Yeah, like see, if you design your house like for a site without understanding like the soil conditions of it, and then when you actually when you go to build and you get like a structural consultant for your design, and he tells that no, this can't be done because like the foundation has to like change or whatever. That's when you realize like like I mean it's for the structural drawings to be done itself, you need like soil test to be done in the first place.
Right.
So, yeah. Then,
Soil testing is important.
yep. So, what else? Like,
Plan
yeah,
sanction
then
procedure of the.
plan sanctions. Yeah, then, of course, like, you gotta get your details, like, from the BBMP. Like, you gotta get, like, a new electrical connection, like, from the BESCOM, water connection, like, from BWSSB.
Like there's a
And,
total newbie. Like he doesn't understand what the fuck is happening. Like I don't know all of this shit,
yeah,
bro.
like an empty site.
Explain a
Usually
bit
you
to
have
them so that
consultants for
yeah,
this.
there are
Usually you
there
have
there are there. It's
consultants for
always
this,
good
but
for your, like just for
yeah,
the sakes of let everybody like know from ground up what to
yeah,
expect at least. There are
yeah. I mean,
consultants,
of
there are
course.
people.
Hmm. Uh, yeah. So once like that is done, yeah, you get your like plan sanctioned and like the execution starts. Then I don't know. Like usually, what happens is once you visit an architect, like to get your house design or residence design or whatever it is, then like there are different sorts of like engagement with an architect. Like it could be like if it's a builder, then he provides a contractor. Otherwise, like you have to select a contractor from your side. And then again, like the contracts vary. Like it could be like a percentage rate contract, item rate contract, or just like lump sum rates, like depending on the scale of the project too. So it's like as a client, it might like it might seem a little confusing as to how to go about this. Like yeah. So it's very important to like have a good consultant on your side.
Right.
I like doing this.
So we talk about contracts and like the type of contracts?
Yeah. So like with the contractor uh, as a builder or as a client.
As a client?
Uh, the type of contracts as a client, I mean, like it, yeah, there's like, see, there's like two ways to go about it, right? Like either you can procure the materials for the contractor by yourself and then like just have like a labor contract,
Mm,
or
mm,
like you go for both labor and the material contract
mm, mm,
like
mm,
together. Like he buys everything
mm,
and like you just give like the
mm.
supervision percentage on that, like for the contractor.
Right, right. So now there are a
So
lot of plotted developments, right? In Bangalore, there is so much to see. Like, how does one like
yeah,
even
yeah.
get around it? And like, how does even one like? I get a lot of questions asked, right? Um, so what is the? We have a question. What does the consultant do primarily? Is he an engineer or the middleman for all the parties?
Uh, so when I say consultant, as like I was talking in terms of like the architect, like architect as the consultant. So he is
Consultancy as an architect.
primarily, yeah, he's primarily like coordinating between like the contractor and the client
Hmm. Hmm.
with respect to the execution. Like he makes sure like it's being built according to the design, right?
Hmm.
And like he guides you through the like the entire process of like selecting the material or like uh,
Right.
procuring it and all that. Because as a
Right.
client, you wouldn't know like how much the material would cost or
Hmm. Hmm.
how
What's the
where
market
to
rate and
procure,
like
yeah, market rates
where do
and all
you get
that.
it from? Where's the best source?
Yeah,
So what
yeah.
kind of
So if you
projects are
are,
you? Hmm.
uh, yeah, so if you're directly like, if you don't have like, if you don't consult an architect and you go to a contractor, you know, you might be skipping the architect's fee, but like overall, like you're paying
Yeah.
more in terms of like the material and like because you don't have like the idea
Hmm. Hmm.
behind it, right? So,
And then the hassle of like
hmm,
understanding
yeah,
all the people involved in
true.
uh, this one, right? So what kind of procurement you are we talking about? Is there any particular
Abdullah,
trend? Right.
what's up, Abdullah? Sorry, bro. Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, bro.
Can you repeat that?
So, is there any trend in terms of procurement of materials that you're seeing? Are there anything particular that people are asking for, or is there anything in terms of sustainable materials or anything, any keywords that's been thrown around that's in the trend nowadays? Do you see any
Uh,
parallel?
I feel like there's a lot of trend in like smart homes lately. Like the smart,
Yeah.
like everybody
So
wants
everybody is
to,
like very conscious of being having a smart home.
yeah, smart home. Like like especially like people want like want their whole electrical setup to be in the phone. They wanna like so all
Mm,
that
mm.
like it's a trend.
From the AC to
Also,
the
but yeah,
IoT of the
everything.
home.
Yes. Yeah. So that's one trend. Hey Sachin. Uh, but yeah, otherwise like my firm mostly deals with like sustainable materials, like mostly clay blocks we deal with. But it like
Explain like
it.
the sustainable material industry, and we had a lot of talk about this, but still, just give us an
Yeah, I
overview
think
of the industry and what are we looking at, and what's the trend at this point, and what kind of materials that are coming out, which are sort of challenging the traditional materials already available.
hmm, well, I'm not like much of a sustainable practicing sort of guy to be honest, but
Yeah, yeah. From your
uh,
viewpoint as to what you understand.
yeah, I feel like in terms of like sustainable growth in general, like like not I haven't seen not many people opting for it, like from what I've seen. But then there's certain firms which like deal just with sustainable architecture. So it varies. What is the question again? Sorry.
Clay, some material related to clay and stuff you were saying, right?
Yeah, clay blocks and like filler blocks and things like that.
So how are these things different than the traditional materials that we're looking at?
Uh, well, traditional materials, like when you say traditional materials, like I talking about concrete.
It can be anything that is in the market that is versus sustainable ones, right? Whatever is like basically the new alternative to the traditional ones that we're looking at.
Um, yeah. So like, see, when I like, if I'm talking about like clay blocks versus like the concrete blocks, uh, how do I say, like the breakage in concrete blocks are like lesser, but like clay bricks have like 10 to 12% average like breakage. Uh, but people mostly offer concrete blocks and not clay blocks because like the speed of construction in like concrete blocks is faster than
Faster.
uh, yeah,
So,
clay
but
blocks.
it's
Like
not
it's
sustainable
comparatively,
material.
yeah, it's not sustainable. Yeah, compared to the clay blocks, it's not very sustainable. Uh, but yeah, I feel like even concrete blocks has like about like 30% reduction of like the whole carbon emission. Uh, but like it's way more in like the when it comes to clay blocks, right? It's not a very common practice for people to offer clay blocks, mostly because of like the costing that goes behind it.
Right, right. So that's what.
Yeah.
So I asked a question initially as to like there are so many properties and so many like plots of land that people want to look at. So initially I get asked like where do we see what kind of chunk of like do I choose North Bangalore or like which part of Bangalore? How do I like do some kind of like a report on like different places of pockets of Bangalore as for an investment? What do you what would you say? Or rather,
Uh,
do you have any comments?
as an investor,
As somebody who wants to buy a plot of land,
mm, well, I feel like Outer Ring Road always has like a lot of growth, like commercially, and anything around it has like a lot of growth, like residentially too. Plus, I feel like areas towards like the other side, like Indiranagar is saturated,
I
but
feel.
then if you go beyond like HSR and like Kalyanagar or like Kasarnagar, beyond that, like there's growth there. I feel like that's where the growth is in the next 10 years.
That entire belt.
Yeah, because like centrally it's all like saturated, right? Like, I mean,
Yeah. OG part of
it
thing.
can't go, yeah, pumped up, like it can't go beyond that. So, yeah, I feel like that's my observation
And do you think
with
there is
respect to
like a
Bangalore. Yeah.
and do you think there is like a sort of a sort of a layer in terms of just like the growth that's happening inner city and outside the city, which people are unaware of? Like the people inside the city are in the inner part of the city have no clue what the fuck is happening outside, whereas people in these belts have no clue and no have no business even entering the inner parts of the city. They're very well like calm
Yeah,
and peaceful right there. Right? Do you see like being from Bangalore at least? I sort of I'm led to understand now
I,
that I do a mass broader overview of what is happening. I see
right.
that
I
there is
was
like
just
a
gonna tell
shift
you.
in people inside Bangalore. Like okay, they don't care about what's happening outside,
They're
and
not
outside.
aware, right? Like, once, like, we started, like, you started doing the whole,
Yeah,
like, running around the city and, like, finding
yeah,
about, like, the market prices
the
and all that.
drives.
Like, yeah, the drives, like, you realize, like, there's, like, so much growth happening on the outskirts of the city,
Exactly.
right? And, and you started to observe, like, for example, like Jakkur, when I was like visiting it like 10 years like or like 7 years back, like
Yeah.
it
Jaipur,
was
there
like
is
empty,
L&T,
and now you
right?
go back.
L&T has a project, Raintree.
Yeah, true. That
There was
entire
a
belt is
factory
like there's a
before.
lot of yeah. So there's a lot of new developments happening there, like both residential and commercial. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Like so,
So,
like uh, people inside the city, like I feel like there's like this drive of like buying plots in the outskirts, mostly because it's like economical too. Plus, like it's become like sub-centric over there, like most of them don't come towards the city unless it's like because they have like their own schools
everything
there, and
available.
like the IT sector, everything is available
Exactly.
right there.
There's no use for you to
So
literally get it. Plus,
yeah,
with Amazon, Flipkart, and all these people delivering where you already are, you really before you
true.
need to go to the city center to buy stuff, but now you can like literally get
Exactly. Right now that thing is like that concept is gone, right? Like
gone. Yeah.
so there's a lot of like sub-centric uh, like growth happening around the cities.
Mm. And that's what. So your office is set up in Jayanagar, so that's like an OG
Janagar,
place.
yeah.
There's
Yeah.
you can't like talk
Old
anything.
Bangalore.
Yeah, old Bangalore. But so how does it? How are you looking at managing? That's what. Give us a bit into what kind of a skill set that you're developing over the years, or like as you get into
Right.
the job of people. It's more of people management and like
True.
as what I understand. Like, what are some things that you learned out of it, and are you still learning and
Um,
like?
yeah, I feel like I was gonna say like shifted to project management. Like I realized like negotiation skills are like really important like when you're into like construction.